Right, so I'm now recording. Okay, welcome 401 and 101, EDU 401 and 101. If you get extraneous noise in your homes or wherever you are, feel free to mute yourself like somebody needs to now. But otherwise, feel free not to, because I want you, this is a conversation, it's not going to be a lecture. Okay, I probably can't help myself. I will talk a bit, but and that's what you'd expect, I guess. But I certainly want this to be a conversation. So today, I think it would be good if I keep one Moodle open, although you will have yours, 101 or 401. So I'll have the 101 open. The content is the same. The assignments have slight differences, but not as high as you notice. Welcome, Chris and Kath and various others all coming in. Carissa, welcome. So I'm going through 101, and let me just chat a bit about the whole big picture, and then so if you can scribble some notes on what we're talking about. I'll be covering heaps of stuff. I believe what I want to hit you with today is going to be vital for not just this subject, but for all your studies. And whether you're on the certificate of teacher preparation or not, I'm assuming that you're all in for the long haul, and you're not just going to be here for a little season, but you'll be here for the long haul. Okay? So, you noticed I was asking a few of you before we kicked off which subject you were in, and most of you had a problem trying to remember what you were doing. So to keep you focused, you really must get the code in your head. It's no good saying, oh, I'm doing foundations. You've got to know what code that is. And the reason being that when you're writing emails, I really, to your lecturers, I would really beg you to put the code in the subject line. That helps the lecturers to sort out what your question's about. It's really, the number of times I've had this, I've had an email from somebody, lovely email, writing about a particular assignment. And I'm first of all thinking, what subject is this? There are 32 bachelors, there are 16 masters. Unfortunately, I don't know everybody as well as I used to. Now we've got hundreds of students. So the only way of doing this, please, is using the code in the subject line, please. Okay, and also, this is a little thing, don't bother saying the assignment 1. All assignments have got a name, like a minor or a case study. So give it a name, or the forums, and then it's a lot more contextualized. Okay? While I'm on it, I hope you've all read my notes prior to this, but down the bottom right-hand corner, there's a thing called the messenger. Please, when it's anything to do with lecturers, program directors, don't touch it. Because although we get something in the inbox, it's very hard to search those. Whoever's got noise in the background, can they mute themselves, please? They're looking after some youngster who isn't a student yet, but obviously wants to be. Luke, is that you? Can't see you, but maybe it is you, because you're the one who doesn't seem to be muted, but you're still making a noise. Okay, moving on. Where was I? Yeah, so don't use the Moodle Messenger. Now, somebody was asking me the other day that they were setting up a peer support group thing within Moodle using the Messenger. And I said, Yeah, I guess that's okay, but it's never happened before. Nobody's ever done that before. No group has done that before. Welcome, Luke. But I'd encourage you to think about this part of the Moodle page, the class forum. Now, to me, that's where we all put stuff in of a general nature. Asking a question, you're a bit lost on a point. Hopefully, your lecturer will get to that. Otherwise, one of your peers might. So it's not a one-way communication coming from lecture, it's two-way. You can start a discussion. That thing there, which you'll find on some Moodle pages, the announcements, I've just hidden it now, we don't use. So please use the class forum for anything around that subject. If you want to talk about something personal, you hit the lecturer's name, which should be a hyperlink. If that isn't hyperlinked, then get hold of your program director and find out what your lecturer's email address is and get them to make their name a hyperlink. So if you hit that, you end up going straight into an email. Yeah, it's gone on my other screen, so you won't see that. One last thing I will point out, and then I'll give you time to come back at me. If you go into Moodle, I hope you can all see EdInfo, Education Student page. If you can't, please make sure you get on there. And get on there as soon as you can, because the Education Student page is it's not a subject, I describe it as the homeroom for all our students, masters, bachelors, primary, secondary, all the faculty are in here. This is our home. You know, we're all spread across the nation. Some of us are even in South Africa. I've got a student in Malta, but we're all in this. This is our home. So in here, you will find some really important common documents. For example, that one, the Education Student Handbook, absolutely essential. And you will find that if you go to the contents page in there, they all should be linked. And if they're not, then that's an issue, but you can scroll through to the page number. Yes, if you download it, I think it goes into a link. So the Education Student Handbook is absolutely crucial. And when you get onto placements, you need to get into the professional experience program manual for bachelor or master's. So those two are absolutely vital to you. There's all sorts of material in here about doing referencing systems, lesson plan templates, you name it. There's so much resource in there which is relevant to all subjects. If you go to these tabs, this was a graduation photo from, you can see, last year, with some of our students here, and Stephen Brinton, Stephen Codrington, Stephen Fison, who's taking 405, 105 this semester. And down here, you've got some more photos of previous graduations. And there is the most important general forum page. And if you go study that, there are loads and loads of posts which you might find interesting by name if you search through those. Or when new stuff comes up, which is general to everybody, that's where we'll put the stuff. That's where you can respond. You'll see there were 9 responses to that one. Don't go doing personal stuff on here, because bear in mind, when you post there, it goes to many hundreds of people now, because it includes most of our alumni, who they may have said, "God, take me off the circulation," but most don't. So bear in mind when you post something on here, it goes to a huge array of people. Anyway, I think enough ramble for me. It's about time you started asking questions. So I'll get back to page EDU101, and I hope, can somebody tell me that you can see it when I get there? Because I've been bombing in and out of different pages, and I want you to tell me if you can see that. Foundations, Christian Learning and Teaching, Term 3, 2020.
Yes,
Do you see that?
we can see it. Yep.
You do. Okay. Shoot. Questions? Comments? Stunned mullets? No?
No.
Nobody? Wow. Obviously, you've got to unmute yourself if you're asking a question. Okay. I can't believe I was that clear. And please show me with a show of hands, a thumb up, please. Are you on EdInfo?
No.
No.
I've actually gone to look for it and I can't find it. Even though you just showed us and I can't find it.
Yeah, no, but some of you are, which is very interesting. It's not a subject you enroll in.
Yeah.
It's I'm not actually sure of how people are in there and whether you can enroll yourself in it. Obviously, there's no fees for it. But write yourself a note. If you're not in there, get in there.
Yeah.
And somehow or other, make it happen. Leng To is our TA, teacher's assistant, and I believe she will be able to get you in. I'm just a bit concerned that her inbox might now get flooded. So her email address is, I'll put it in the link, if I can do that.
Yeah, I don't even see that link anywhere on my screen.
Yeah, no,
Jim.
you won't see it unless you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do
that
I put in a chat?
At the bottom, there's a chat.
Yeah,
screen.
I've moved mine all over the place. So Leng To's name, leng.toh @ac.edu.au. So that her email address is now in the chat. If you aren't in EdInfo, she will help you. Okay. Let me talk about EDU 100 and EDU 400. These, if you haven't noticed, basically what I'm doing is I'm inducting you to study at Alpha Crucis. Yes, we are going to do work on 101, 401, but before we can do that, we need to have some foundations. And so this is you're all new, so this is my way of inducting you. You're having a 20-minute induction, okay? So if you go to, now, you may not be in this, EDU 100. You won't be in this because, oh yes, you will. Some of you might be because this is semester 2. Now, education mandatory requirements. This is a no credit point, no fee subject that everybody needs to be enrolled in. So if you're not enrolled in EDU 100 or 400, then make sure you are and send an email to Leng To to get that organized, please. So can I have a show of thumbs if you're in, or no, you're not in, you're relevant, you're not in. Okay, I see more thumbs down. Okay, email to Leng To, please, along with your EdInfo. You need to be in that one. What is in there? Let me introduce you. I will scroll through this. You will have to go through the tabs up here. But basic information, there's a plagiarism quiz that you need to do. And in fact, you need to do it before your very first assignment. So this is where you do it. You do APA 6th. We are in transition to APA 7th. So this semester is the transition semester. So by next year, everyone will be doing APA 7th. But I would be very happy for you to do APA 6th for now. Take the quiz. And a word there, the way that this quiz is set up, if you get every question right, you don't get 100%. Go figure. It's a glitch in the system. You get 94% or something. So on your cover sheet for your assignments, just put 94% and the date you did it. That's a big deal. I know you've got 100%, okay? It's just a glitch in the technology. It's not an issue. I just want you to do the test. Child protection training. This is something, now if you're not in New South Wales, there will be a state equivalent. It's an online thing, free. You do that, you upload the certificate there. Again, by the end of this semester. This is not a term thing, it's a semester thing. So get that done, please. Observational visits. Now, here, you'll notice there's a questionnaire. I'm not asking you to do all your 10 observational visit days this semester, nothing like. It would be good if you did a couple. But the point of that questionnaire is that you point out that you've read about it, you understand its need, and you've got plans to do it. Because the worst thing is, we get to term semester 4 in masters. Oh, I never knew what observational visits were. That's what they are. And then all of a sudden you've got to do 10 and the school year's finishing. So the point of this is get on with it, get understanding observational visits, get doing.
Jim, can I just butt in here? Is this also a requirement for those who are doing the grad cert in teaching prep?
Whoa, Andrew Young.
Yeah.
Good question. No.
Thank you.
But I'm assuming you're going to join us next year.
Perhaps.
It'll be so good you won't be able to not.
Okay.
So when you join us next year and you've done so well in this semester with your 4 subjects, you will then enroll in 100, 400 for semester 1 next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to make it interesting. You've got to do the plagiarism thing though.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, you've got to do that.
Yeah.
And there's other places on Moodle where you can do that.
Mm-hmm. So
no stress about that. Good question. Thank you. So observational visits, yeah, no, if you're a cert person, not a certain person, but a certificate person, then please don't worry about that for now. But have a read. You need to, where are you going to read about this if you're not enrolled in it? No, maybe don't worry about it. But so I'm talking to the people who are not certified, if you pardon the expression. I think you might all be. In fact, I am. So Landtight, if you don't know about Landtight, that would be something to go through. So again, do the questionnaire if you're a bachelor or a master's student. That needs doing before the end of this year. And also the first aid certificate, etc. So enough of that, but thanks for the heads up, Andrew.
Sorry, when does the Landtight need to be done by?
Yeah, it's a external test.
Yep.
For literacy and numeracy that in New South Wales needs to be done before your final placement.
Okay.
So that.
And is this before you finish your masters? Is that correct?
You know, before you do your final placement in your master's or your bachelor's.
Okay, cool.
In
Thank you.
other states, it's before you can finish. But in New South Wales, you have to do it before your final placement. And basically what that is, it's a test of numeracy and literacy that you are in the top 30% of the adult population of Australia.
Yep.
So if somebody tells you it's equivalent to year 9, not really, because that's not adults.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was this again?
Who's talking to me?
Carissa.
Oh, Carissa. Lantite. Lantite is a test for numeracy and literacy that everybody doing initial teacher education courses have to pass in New South Wales prior to their final placement, in all other states before you can finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm interrupting everything. I have an interview at 10 o'clock, so I'm going to duck out and come back, okay?
We'll be wrapping this session up about 10.
Oh, will you? I thought it'd
Yeah.
go till about 11.
No, I never. Did I say 11?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Normally, people can't survive a Zoom more than an hour, but we will talk about frequency of how often we meet and what we do, obviously before our time is up today. Okay.
Excuse me, Jim.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Jim. For people with doing a certificate, we have to do the Lantite.
No, don't worry about that yet, but it'd be good to learn about it.
All right, thank you.
And you don't have to do it yet anyway, and I wouldn't expect anybody to do it this semester.
All right.
There might be a reason, but I wouldn't expect you to. Okay, let's go back to EDU 101 or 401. I'm going to pause again and ask you if you've got any comments, questions so far. All good?
Mhm.
Good, thank you. All right. Can I have a bit of a chat with you now about pedagogy? You may not know that term. Anyone like to define pedagogy? How would you define pedagogy?
I'd say it's kind of the methodology of how you teach.
I like it. I like it. Thank you, Luke. The methodology of how you teach.
The way and what.
The way and what. Yeah, love it. Anyone else? You see, this is a really weird process we're all going through. We're training teachers. So what I'm doing is pedagogy, but I'm seeking to develop your pedagogy. So your pedagogy is going to be entirely unique to you. And yes, of course, you watch other teachers and you take bits and pieces from what they do, and you like bits and you dislike other bits. It's a fascinating process which I can't put into words really, and I've been teaching well over 40 years. It's so hard to define what is pedagogy. To me, pedagogy, I suppose I would use the word is the rationale for what I'm doing.
How's it spelled? Sorry.
Good question.
Pedagogy.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not a Latin or Greek scholar, and if you are, help me out if I make a complete hash of this. But ogi is study, and ped has to do with feet.
No.
No?
No way.
Who's saying no?
Andrew.
Okay. Well, let me finish, and then you can give me a critique, okay?
Okay.
To me, you see, a pedagogue is somebody who walks around and teaches.
Okay.
The Apostle Paul walked around the world as it was known, teaching all the way he went through what he said and what he did. So, to me, study is it's the study of a person's life, their journey, their being. Now, as I say, if you want to go and get some Latin and Greek, and fantastic, let me know, because I may have been under a misapprehension for many years, which is fine, I probably have. But I think pedagogy has got to do with the idea of motion, moving. How can somebody hear unless they're told? And then you've got to go. There's a going. So when I often think about the word pedagogy when I'm actually in a classroom, and I'm not a rigid statue at the front of the room, behind a desk. That so irritates me. The idea of me now in front of a camera is alien to me. It's just, I cannot cope with this for much longer, otherwise I'll completely flip. So pray for me that this whole world will come to its senses. Why am I going on about pedagogy? Because all that's one of the first issues you have to grapple with when you get into this course. What is pedagogy? What is your pedagogy? And by way of introduction, I really want to take you through this Moodle page, this resource, and show you how I want you to approach it. Now, some lecturers will be totally different, and I think that's so exciting, the fact that you don't have all the same people. You have such a variety of types and styles and pedagogy. So for me, I would like you to think of these tiles, these resources, as rows in Woolies or Coles. There is nothing in here that I say you have to know. Now, don't take me too far out of context. The content of this subject is absolutely massive. It's almost as if it's a sardine tin, triple filled. It's just been crammed because the authorities in Sydney say we have to put all this stuff in this subject. It's not a meaningful course. It basically is a sardine can crammed full. So imagine you're going into Woolies and all the shelves are completely full. You go for a little walk, a relaxed walk up and down the aisles, and as you find a shelf that is interesting to you, stop and have a good read and have a good reflect and take a few cans off that shelf and have a think. I can chew on this one. Yeah, that'll be good for me. And then you'll go past other shelves which are totally, of course I know that, done that, done that. I don't need that because the context where I'm going to teach, it's not going to be that relevant for me, therefore move on. So I'm trying to describe my pedagogy for this subject. It is so, and most of my subjects, but not all, I treat like this. They're the resources. And above all, if you get nothing out of me today, you are in charge of your learning. Own it. If you need help working out what that means, try and get somebody, family, friend, or whatever. What on earth did Jim mean by saying own your study? I'm really trying to say you're the only one who knows what you need to know. You're not an empty cup that is going to be filled by what Jim puts in. You're already 2/3, 3/3, 1/3 full, and what's in there had better not curdle with what we put in. It better mix, otherwise we're in real trouble. So you know what you need to know, and don't you ever forget that. Okay, you do. You're big people. You're not little people. You're big. So I'll go one stage further, and then I'll let you come back at me. Now, this forum post thing, there are 10 readings there. I've said before, and I'll probably say it again, if you read all those 10 readings and nothing else, I challenge you to read nothing else. If you read all those 10 readings and did the forum posts for them and did the 2 assignments, you'd pass.
Sweet.
You'd pass. You might get a high pass if you're lucky, maybe a 64%, but you'd pass. But the point is, I regard those readings as the bare, awkward provocations that give you some concept of the breadth and depth of what this subject's all about. And I would hope that, you know, you dip into, for example, Headley Bear. And incidentally, I love telling people this, if you don't know, he is a he. Some people write about she in the essay writing about Headley, and they don't know that Headley's a he. I think he's still alive, but prove me wrong if I've got that wrong. He's certainly getting on a bit. He was Emeritus Professor of Education at Melbourne Uni. A lovely, lovely guy, salt of the earth. And that document is arguably, you know, enough to give you indigestion because there's so much stuff in it. So much. It's a chronicle of government intervention in the lives of the population. That's what it is. And there's been so much good, but arguably along the way there's been so much bad as well. But he documents it all. And I don't believe he makes any value judgments on the way. He's being as objective as he possibly can. Anyway, so that's a lovely one, and that is the key reading for your minor essay. So again, if you just read that, you could do the minor essay. It wouldn't be a very good one, but it would be a pass if you just use that, but you won't. Now, oh, what time is it? I can see a clock somewhere. How do I see a clock? I saw a clock on somebody's wall. Ah, Carissa, thank you. You've got a clock just above your head. Thank you. Fantastic.
Clocks
everywhere. How long
everywhere.
we're going. Oh dear. The teacher's clock. And on the major, that is, so we're really going to, this week, we're going to get it into these 2 assignments. And therefore, you'll know what you need to do, what you need to study. Okay? So that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to spend heaps of time working on these assignments. You're going to be doing some writing this week. You know, you're going to break that writing barrier and get started. That would be fantastic. Down here, you'll find a whole bunch of video resources. Let me explain. If there's 3 stars after the video, it means it's worth having a look at. I'm not saying the others are useless, but certainly the 3-star ones are good. Okay. That's in all my subjects. That's the thing I use. Let me take you here, and then I'll give a pause and you can throw at me. Under here, you'll see there's 4 PowerPoints. Now, these are my contents page, if you like. Is this working? Can you see EDU101 PowerPoint Part 1 opening up? Yes?
Mhm.
No. I don't know where. Ah, it's gone here. So if I drag it here, can you see that?
Yes.
Do I see a nod? Oh, thank you. Fantastic. So this is my, there are 52 slides in this first one. And again, regard it as a bit like shelves in Woolies. You go through and you have a read. Do I need to know this? Am I stuck on this? And then you'll find there are videos in here and other resources to websites and so on. So I'll come back to that later on this week. But that's, if you like, my content. Enough ramble for now. Over to you.
Are these slides and PowerPoint presentations all available in the 401 as well?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Anyone else?
I know that you already said this, but you know that I struggle with Australia's setup and terms and semesters. So you're going to have to just keep bearing with me with that. The APA 6, we get to still use that till when?
The end of the year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so don't, I mean, the changes that and there's a nice document that looks like that on EdInfo that explains the difference. And the differences are sensible, and I would say small, and it wouldn't be beyond anybody's wit to get hold of it for next year. It's quite simple. I think it makes it simpler in APA 7th for next year.
Okay.
No big stress. Anyone might like to make any comments? Luke Callier, where are you, by the way?
I'm in Perth.
Oh, you're in Perth too, so it's a bit early in the morning for you.
Yes, I do apologise for my children earlier. I thought I was on mute.
Don't worry, no problem at all. I suppose when you've got earphones in, you can't necessarily hear so much extraneous noise anyway.
That's right.
That's fine. Look, I'm gonna, if you're not gonna talk to me, I'm gonna pick on you. In terms of how you're feeling about this subject, 401 or 101, I know we haven't looked at any of the assignments yet, other than some of, many of you have gone on to the forums. But tell me how Sarah Reed, tell me how you're going. How are you feeling about this subject and the prospect of it?
Yeah, pretty good. I think you've kind of made it really clear how it's set up, and it was kind of easy to go through it and have a look and get the idea of what you are wanting through it and where to look for things. So it's been really good. Yeah.
Thank you. That actually prompts me to make a comment about this term starting, well, officially on the 20th of July. And here we are in the week of the 27th of July. So, and it's a 10-week term and there's 10 readings. And so it kicked off before we'd even met and before I'd even had a chance to say hello. And this is the first time ever you all started saying hello to each other. And I thought, oh, I'll sit back and you can just get on with it, which was fantastic. I really appreciated you all doing that. So it's been it's been messy from my end. Let me encourage you that because we don't have, we're doing this work in week 1 and we're doing this work in week 2 and this work in week 3, that's not bothered me. And I hope it hasn't bothered you too much. I guess it has been unsettling, especially as you're all newbies. I hope, can I have a show of thumbs? Have you listened to my video on Friday, welcoming you? As in because you haven't seen it? Because you haven't seen it.
Me?
No, I'm just saying the reason is you haven't, it's not because you haven't been, oh, I don't want to watch that video.
I thought you were shaming my thumbs down.
You've got to make sure you're in camera. Sometimes your thumbs might be below camera. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, that would be because, no, well, why? I put that link on the forum in this subject, didn't I? And if you are not getting that, that is a bit of a worry. So let me just see, I hope I did. So class forum.
No, I didn't see it.
So welcome to EDU101 Foundations 401 as well. Click on that. Jim.
I think it is there. I think it's on the Welcome to Semester 2. It's just a link, the first line, which makes it look like it's not really a link.
Where, which one?
It says
there.
Dear students. Yeah, it's kind of, I didn't see it as a video, to be fair.
Yeah, you see, because the title I've hyperlinked, right? Have you all seen this one?
Yep.
No. Sent on Friday 24th. There's a huge amount in there, but I've done it in video version. So is this working?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Jim Cole, etc. So that, I always do that. While I'm at it, can you see Trove?
Yep.
Who's not come across Trove? Not come across Trove, right. Trove is a fantastic resource. Trove.nla.gov.au. It's a database of all sorts of resources. You type in and it searches for you. It's brilliant at giving you APA 6 referencing content. It has some full content, but otherwise it might be abstracts. It's a really brilliant resource. Highly commend it to you, Trove. Okay, where's your clock? 9:45. Here we go. EDU101. All right. Oh, before we go any further, because some people may have to leave on the dot of 10, I understand that. Let's talk about this week. This is, and I really need you to talk to me because this is certainly not going to be a one-way. I definitely want to go and spend a lot of time going through the assignments and explaining, scaffolding them if you like, and giving you tips and tricks. I also want to start going through those PowerPoint slides, but I'm not going to do them all. I refuse. It would be ridiculous. It would be mind-numbingly ridiculous on Zoom. If we had, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, of an intensive, it's a totally different dynamic, and we would do all sorts of interactive stuff. But to do that would not bless you at all. My motive for going through the PowerPoints, as I will be to highlight particular key points in the road that you need to be aware of. Otherwise, there could be trip hazards along your way. So I'm expecting you to drive your own learning, as I said, to be the master of your own destiny. So my thoughts were to do an hour like this today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Would that be okay? Would anyone like to make an alternative suggestion?
Can we try and do 2 days instead of 3, maybe?
Well, maybe.
Or were you thinking only this week do it that way, or were you thinking do that every week?
Yeah, you see, thank you. This is what I call a Zoom equivalent intensive.
Yeah.
Because this week, at the beginning of, well, last year, when we timetabled for this year, this was the week to have an intensive, in which case it was originally going to be Monday to Friday here at AC. So what we're doing is a Zoom equivalent intensive. And I've said to all the lecturers, you can cut this as you wish, and it depends on the people in your group. Do you want to do this of an evening? You want to do it in the daytime? The length of them is up to you. You see, some people's content might be absolutely crucial that they can only do that interactively on screen. And I know, for example, Stephen Codrington would be a case in point. He'll be having much longer Zooms, and they'll be very different structure to mine. So what worked for me last semester, sorry, term 2, was the 3 days. Now, you see, we're going to record all these, so they'll be up on Moodle anyway, for you to go back to, or if you don't ever get there, you can go and listen to them later, or fast forward through the bits that don't bother you. So my feeling is that I can talk and I can look, but I can't read at the same time. And I noticed there's a bunch of comments coming in on the chat. One night we can check out PowerPoints. Oh, overnight, yes. And that, Chris, that brings me on to another fantastic thought, and I'd love you to write this down. How many of you know the term flipped classroom?
I've heard about it, but not really understood it.
Okay, well, get into the flipped classroom. I'm not saying I love it because it's a newish concept. I'm saying I love it because it works for what I've been involved with. The whole concept that teacher knows everything, students know nothing, is a one-way fill the bucket pedagogy. Whereas flipped classroom, because we've got this internet thing, this ubiquitous source of information, all of you have the information. Yes, the way you will absorb it will be filtered by your experience, your context, and your history, of course. And so therefore, but you can still take in information, and you can still draw information from wherever you need to get it. So my goal is in flipping the classroom is that you do the study, you do the research, and then we come together, and instead of you all being silent on mute, you're all chatting to each other and interacting, because you've all got the raw material of the course. And now all you need to do is mix it together and create some strong mortar to hold your bricks together. So it's flipping the classroom. We don't go, the first time you get the ideas isn't in here. The first time you get the ideas is what you've already started doing, reading readings 1 and 2. And before we started recording, I was having a chat with Patricia about her passion for free air. And I was thrilled that she liked that better than Headley Bear. Although the reading of free air is really gross, I think, because it's a translation. And I find it hard. I'm sorry, Karen. It's really annoyingly verbose and convoluted. And why does he have to say it so many times? So many different ways?
So many double negatives.
Oh, yes. Yeah, let's tie ourselves in so many. Yes. But hey, my motive, and that's part of me, is to be obtuse, to give you the worst possible reading first. So if you can cope with that, the rest will be a doddle. You can read the rest in the bath. Okay. Where were we? So flipping classroom. Not the flipping classroom, but flipping the classroom, if you pardon the expression. Okay. So come on. If you've got a particular if you've got a particular, I know there's a bunch of chats there. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to read them when we've finished.
They're basically saying we're all okay with this week, 3 days.
Wendy, thank you, class secretary. You've made it. Fantastic. Okay, so let's start with that then. If when we get through Wednesday, we think of something else, we'll think of something else. Okay, see how we go. So assume we're on next, and I'm sorry I didn't do the link until this morning. I had every intention of doing it yesterday, but I guess it hasn't stopped us being here anyway. All right.
Sorry, Jim, just ask a question to clarify. Are you saying that it would just be the mornings this week, or because it's an intensive?
Yes. Yeah, and then we will have, I normally do a Zoom maybe 10 days or a fortnight out from each assignment. So we'll meet again to solidify what we need for the minor, and then another one for the major. Okay? But other than that, it's, you know, I want to let you loose. Just go. Enjoy. This is your journey. You, by the end of this week, you'll certainly know where we need to get to. Okay? Look, I just can't stop myself. I just want to talk to you about the minor. So sitting comfortably, seatbelts on. It's a bit of a long title, and I think the bold words are the most important thing, what I've just highlighted there, not the stuff that comes after. That is by far less important. That's arguably scaffolding. So let's talk about examine how schools and families in the Australian context have changed their attitude towards children since World War II. Now, in that question, if you start writing about North America, Europe, England, not too clever, so don't. And you'll find lots of literature about American schools and English schools, I'm sure. So please resist. It's got to be the Australian context. I would say to you that the Headley Bear reference is your foundation stone, your foundations for the whole building. Please read that. But don't go and describe what he says. Because if you describe the main points of the news from here, you're not answering the question. And I would write in the margin, ATQ, answer the question. And in fact, I can guarantee you'll find nowhere the answer to the question. You have to write it from your head, from your heart. So if you did happen to find it, it would be somebody else's essay and you'd be done for plagiarism. But we'll talk about that. Examine. So it's an examination. And when you're examining something, you're looking at it from many different angles, many different perspectives, not just one size fits all. It's a real, it's like a royal commission. Why is, what's happened? Really get to the core of the change in attitude of schools and families towards children. Now, I would love to quote this idea to you. You know, when you put a frog in water and you put it on the gas stove, the frog wouldn't necessarily jump out. And it may never jump out because it just gets boiled and poached. This is, to me, what has happened to education since World War II. It's the whole of society has been poached or fried, and we don't know what has happened. So therefore, let's go back to the 40s, 50s, and see what school was like. And I've had people say, it was awful, awful. Kids sitting in rows, never saying a word. The whole idea of children should be seen and not heard. Corporal punishment, teachers clipping people around the head, teachers clipping people on the backside, teachers sending kids into isolation, all sorts of abuse. Yes, I get that. But was all of education that terrible? Or were they just abuses as they are now? So what's happened? And we're going to spend a lot of time on this question, but it is absolutely fascinating. I'll shut up now because I definitely want to give you time to ask a question or two about this essay. But your turn. Emily, you're unmuted, so come on.
I'm writing notes of what you said. I actually don't have questions at the moment, but I probably will once I start the assignment.
Okay.
So it's
Carissa?
It's less, oh, what did I want to, so it's less like a critique of policy and school structure and more like a kind of a mini ethnography of just what's happened in the timeline of education. So we're doing more just personal perspectives on what's gone on based on sources that we gather rather than analyzing the actual, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking. You know, that's what
Carissa,
people in school do.
You're on the money there. You see, it's a sociology argumentative essay, not a historical narrative.
I'm pleased with that, Jim. Thank you.
You get me? What is going on? What's gone on in the heart of families in Australia that's resulted in the type of schooling we've now got? And of course, policy is going to reflect society. Don't be fooled to think that policy is driving society. But there's a thought. And attitude. I mean, one of the things that I'll maybe leave you with today is contraception. I mean, just after World War II, it wasn't a big deal, was it? And large families were just the norm. Nowadays, perhaps we won't have kids at all. Oh, and the ones we want, we'll have them like this. So they will be, you know, and the whole debate of gene technology and all that, and whether you can select the particular eggs from donors. I mean, who would have thought we'd be thinking like that back in the 1950s? But people do. And surely that is a reflection of the attitudes towards children. What are children? Are they our heritage? Are they our commodities? Are we creating people to be consumers in a consumerist society? Oh man, this is humongous. It's the biggest essay you've ever done. Okay? And it's the minor. It's so exciting, and there's no right and no wrong answer. But please don't describe what's happened. I know what's happened. Okay, I've read enough essays. I want you to wrestle with why you think society's gone the way it's gone. And are you going to be revolutionaries and stop it? I don't want you going into a school staff room and just becoming another pawn in society's game. It would be great if you could put your finger in the dike and you could make a stand for what you believe is right. Okay? I see that hand or finger, Chris.
Hi, Jim. I'm just, I take on board that you identified that the 4 points are of less importance in the essay, and that's certainly what you've said. I noticed, though, that in point 2, it does refer to the Australian curriculum and then the NESA syllabus documents. Now, the NESA syllabus documents, is, I understand, is actually a New South Wales document. I'm in Queensland. It's kind of like, is there...
Whenever you see NESA, you take that for your state equivalent.
Okay.
Always.
Could you tell me what the Queensland equivalent of NESA is?
No.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But there is one.
I'm sure there's an acronym. We could make it up.
But look, we'll come back to this, but the essay should include these. Now, I don't like that word should. To me, that's a bit too prescriptive. I'm so sorry. If you happen to write about all 4, good on you. But I don't want you to feel obliged to. We will look into the rubric for this tomorrow. The rubric is another way of hitting this essay. And another way of hitting it is these things, which we're going to look at tomorrow too.
Thank you.
Okay? Anyway, comments, any further comments? Anyone sitting on the question? Otherwise, we'll wrap it for today, folks. Okay. It has been nice to see you. I really appreciate your expressions. You don't know how helpful they are, because I couldn't possibly teach to an empty camera. That would drive me round the wall. So the fact your smiles and your funny faces have been hugely beneficial. Oh, by the way, our fact said, I can actually see your chin now, but only just. Could we have less of your wall and more of you, please? I think the time zone is I think he's put a picture up there and he's gone to work. I think that's what he's done. He obviously can't hear me, or he's frozen. I think maybe he's frozen. Poor chap. Anyway, see you tomorrow.
Dr. Jim.
Could I please speak?
I've just got a question on
Yeah,
the
Patricia, yeah, go for it, Patricia, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a question on the minor and the major essay. I can understand that the minor essay has a 1,500 word limit.
Yeah.
Is that including a plus or minus 10% as well, or not?
Very good question, Patricia. The 1,500 word is a guide. It's an idea that this is roughly how long it should be. If you go and write 3,000, I will write rude comments in the margin. And it's basically to stop you overworking. If you write 500 words, I will write rude comments in the margin saying you haven't developed this argument very well. So I've never, in all my 10 years, have I looked at 10% plus and minus. And I know in other departments that you might lose marks for going off that, but don't let that be a hindrance to you. Aim for 1,500 words, and I would certainly want you to count them and put the number on the front cover sheet. But don't get stressed about that.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have to chat with you because I've sent you a couple of emails and you haven't got back to me, and there's some things that have to be organized. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the reminder. We'll get there.
Thank you.
Okay, Luke?
Jim, just to let you know, I can't make the next 2 days, but I'll obviously watch on the recording.
Okay. Good on you. Keep in touch. Going.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Going, gone. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.